Thank you, Chairman Joyce, and thank you and the ranking member for convening this hearing today. Thank you to our witnesses for your testimony on this really important matter. We've been hearing today about the impacts of AI on all kinds of things in our society, and certainly we are aware that AI brings many opportunities for innovation, but also a lot of potential harms along the way, and that's what we're really focused on in here. And as we've heard today, so many people have incorporated AI into their lives in the form of chatbots. Chatbots is especially true for our kids who have embraced AI chatbots at a significantly higher rate than other age groups. And if they're left unregulated, AI chatbots pose a real danger to the safety and the well-being of all Americans, especially our kids. Now, some states have engaged in efforts to address these challenges and have done that on a bipartisan basis to prevent all kinds of consumer harm from AI systems, and including the regulation of chatbots. And we've talked about it a little bit here today. Congress has been debating federal privacy legislation to protect Americans, but we haven't been able to move it forward. We haven't been able to actually get it done. And one of the many challenges we've had is that because we're not moving this forward, we've seen states step in and do the work that we should be doing here. And I hate to say this, but as Congresswoman Trahan already mentioned, this summer when this committee was marking up the reconciliation bill, this committee's majority passed a 10-year ban on states' ability to create and enforce AI regulations to protect consumers, to protect against the harms that we all seem to be agreeing on today are very real and important for our kids and adults alike. And so, when we're doing this work in here, we have to recognize that we need to find agreement, that we need to move these big issues forward. And I'm really concerned about what we saw happen in this committee this summer. And so I do want to ask a couple of questions. I know we're always short on time in here, so I want to make sure that while we are developing that federal legislation, that we move with all deliberate speed to address these things, and that we recognize that efforts like that, while many of us agree that a federal framework is the right thing to avoid a patchwork of state laws, we need to do our work and not have a moratorium for 10 years because we can't get it together and we can't get it done up here. So with that in mind, Dr. King, I do want to ask some questions because some of the risks that we've been hearing about today echo early concerns that were raised about social media in general. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about some of the ways that you see that. And since we have limited time, what I want to do is also just kind of tee up my second question, which is, we've heard and we know that AI has been scraping the internet for data, collecting data, that they're getting into the most intimate conversations that people have and deep questions and concerns about their health and other things and using that data. Can you talk a little bit about how the companies are using that data so that people understand when we talk about this, it's not just theoretical, but that people's data is being gathered, collected, and used, and how they're doing that. I have about a minute and a half left for you to cover that.
So in terms of lessons that we've learned from social media, certainly that there are real-world harms that occur from social media use. And I would like to just point out that I feel like we haven't really probed the question, I mean, not just here, but in general, of like what a healthy, again, supportive social media ecosystem would look like. I think one of the chief challenges that we've learned from social media that applies here as well is the focus on engagement at all costs. And so, again, I see history repeating itself in that way, and so I think that is one of the most important lessons we can learn over all of the work we've done trying to understand social media harms. In terms of the data and how the companies are using it, again, we are still at the early stages, but I do think there's a difference between the large pre-existing platforms and the newer companies, and certainly it's the larger platforms that are the well-positioned to begin more tightly integrating the different parts of their businesses and the ad targeting model with people's use of chatbots. Everybody seems to be leading towards this idea that we will see commercial advertising and sponsorship in them. And so
just to be clear, when you say that, you mean they will take what you put in a chatbot and they'll sell it to somebody else so that they can make money off of your questions, your concerns, because they learn these things about you.
Or more specifically, you ask the chatbot a question about what jeans look the best on me, and you're going to get recommendations potentially that are sponsored. And of course, how well that's disclosed and whether people understand that the advertiser paid for that disclosure, I think is a lot of what we have to work through.
Okay, well, that's really helpful. I've gone over my time, so I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all again for being here for your testimony and your work, and I yield back.